Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down on.
To start things off, we will look at the trade made on March 8th between the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos. The Seahawks sent quarterback Russell Wilson and a 2022 fourth-round pick to the Broncos in exchange for quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, as well as a bundle of picks, which include a 2022 and 2023 first-round pick, a 2022 and 2023 second-round pick, as well as a 2022 fifth-round pick. For this trade, I gave the Denver Broncos a grade of an A, and I gave the Seattle Seahawks a grade of a B+. I think this is a really solid move for the Denver Broncos. They get a solid quarterback in Russell Wilson, who has won a Super Bowl before, has led his team to 2 Super Bowls, even beat the Broncos in a Super Bowl not too long ago. And I think Russell Wilson is on the market right now, was the best quarterback the Broncos could acquire, and they're a team that have not really competed all that well with subpar quarterback play ever since Peyton Manning retired and they won that Super Bowl with him. So I think this is a really great move for them. Russell Wilson, like I said, is a really solid quarterback even at this stage of his career. Across 10 seasons in the NFL, Russell Wilson has a 65 completion percentage. He has a 1.8 interception percentage, which are all near the top in the all-time records for the NFL. On the flip side, some bad things about him that happened in Seattle, not stuff maybe not necessarily he could control, was that he was sacked 427 times in 10 years, which is 14th in the NFL history, which is pretty crazy considering the guys above him all played probably upwards 15, maybe a little more than 15 years in the NFL, and he's already up that list. And he also fumbled the ball 87 times, which could be a result of him being sacked so much and him being pressured and possibly him getting strip sacked. And the Broncos' offensive line has definitely improved over the past couple of years, so I think this offensive line that he has in Denver right now is going to be a lot better than what he had in Seattle. So I think he's going to have a lot of protection. He's going to be able to complete a lot of easy passes. He has some targets there in Denver, like Jerry Jeudy, and I think this is going to be a good spot for him. For his contract, he only has 2 years, $51 million left. So the Denver Broncos would probably look to extend him for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years on his deal, probably before this upcoming NFL season starts, before he can request a lot more in a contract extension if he plays well in Denver. So I expect that to happen. So for that, I gave the Broncos an A, because I think this is a solid move for them. This was the best quarterback on the market. Aaron Rodgers decided to re-sign with Green Bay, so that was not a possibility. And with all the other quarterbacks, I'll go with Carson Wentz trading a bit. He got traded. Garoppolo could be on the move. There's talk about Kirk Cousins being traded. Deshaun Watson could be traded too. He might be an upgrade over Russell Wilson, but he might cost more. And also he has his legal issues seem to not be an issue anymore, but he's going to have that dark cloud hanging over him that some teams might not want to touch. So Russell Wilson, I think, was a great pickup, great move for the Broncos to get. I don't necessarily know if they're a quarterback away from competing, but they do have a little bit of cap space, so they will be able to build up some other players around Russell Wilson, as they won't have their first round and second round pick for this season. For the Seahawks, Drew Lock, I think, was going to come in the trade no matter what. The Broncos don't need him now that they have Russell Wilson. They'll probably sign like a veteran quarterback, maybe draft a rookie in the 4th or 5th round to back up Russell Wilson, however they see fit. Drew Lock has 2 years left on his contract, so I think the Seahawks do not draft a quarterback this year. They don't go after a Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, or anyone else. I think they stick with Drew Lock for this year. If Drew Lock plays well, you extend him, and he's your guy going forward. If he doesn't play well, you probably have a high draft pick, and you can go after a guy next year, and then Drew Lock just backs him up the following year. So I think that should be their plan, not go for a quarterback just yet. Maybe build up their defensive line, build up their defense, draft an offensive lineman, however they see fit to use their first-round pick, because they don't have their own first-round pick, as they sent that to the Jets for Jamal Adams a couple of years ago. So they only have the Broncos first-round pick, which is the 9th overall pick. So that is a solid option for them. But I do not they should not go quarterback because I think that would be a waste for them when they could just see what they have with Drew Lock. Shelby Harris, maybe take some money back in the deal. I think is a solid move. He's only got 1 year left on his deal. The Seahawks only had 34 sacks last year, which was 10th last in the league. Shelby Harris had about 6.5 sacks this past season, so I think this is a good move for them. The second round pick this year is also the 40th pick, and there's going to be some good talent available. There's some good pass rushers available this year in the draft, so I think they could possibly still find a pretty good pass rusher who could make a solid impact this upcoming year with that 40th pick they got. So I definitely think that's an option. And to go back to the Broncos trade, when we look at what happened last year in the NFL draft, the San Francisco 49ers traded 3 first-round picks, technically 2, because they traded up in the draft to get the 3rd pick. The San Francisco 49ers traded the 12th pick in the 2021 draft, as well as 2022 and 2023 first-round picks, and a 2022 third-round pick to go up to the 3rd overall pick with the Miami Dolphins to get Trey Lance. And so they had to give up a lot for Trey Lance, and he's an unproven commodity who maybe isn't even ready to start this upcoming year. He had to sit all of last year, most of last year. He played in 2 or 3 games. But the Denver Broncos traded up a little bit less than that to get Russell Wilson, who is older, but you know what you're getting with him. He's a solid quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl, and I think it's more of a sure thing than had the Broncos decided to trade up multiple first-round picks to go get Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or whoever is there at the top of the draft this year, whoever team see fit is the best guy. So recap for that, like this trade for both sides. Seahawks is a B+ because I think maybe they could have tried to take on a few more picks instead of players. Noah Fant, I think, is a good player, but how much are you going to be able to use him? He has a year left before you have to pick up. Well, they have to pick up his 5th year option this upcoming year, so he has 2 years left if they pick that up, which I'm assuming they will. But I don't know how much you're going to use a tight end. They haven't had a tight end. They really never had one, even with Russell Wilson, so it's kind of weird that they go for a tight end now that Russell Wilson is off the team. Shelby Harris is okay. Maybe he only has a year left on his deal, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work for them. He is a solid pass rusher, but I think maybe they could have gotten some picks instead of a Noah Fant, Shelby Harris. Drew Lock was a given. Get a quarterback back that can start right away. So I would give him a higher grade if I think they got more high-value picks or maybe a little more high-value players instead of a tight end who Drew Lock probably is familiar with and will use, but you're not really going to compete, so I don't know if a tight end is that necessary. And Shelby Harris, like I said, I think he's about 30 years old, only has a year left on his deal, so I'm not sure how solid that move is going to be for them. But the picks they got were pretty good in return, but I think if they got more picks or maybe younger players with more control and more potential on them, they would have given them a higher grade than a B+.